and I've received some of theirs as well. So it's kind of a county-wide approach as well as to what people are, yeah, I think of what people are talking about and questions that are arising. So we'll just flick through these, and what I'd like is if people could just input into these of you know, their opinions, their knowledge. That'd be fantastic, because obviously we're here to share our good practice. So how have schools interpreted guidance for extracurricular? So that again this morning was a hot topic, and I know it has been for the past few days. I don't know if Tim, you want to enlighten us a bit on that, because Sue obviously mentioned the lunchtime thing, but yeah, I don't know if you want to kind of elaborate a little bit. Is it an absolute no-go, or is it about being creative, as Michelle put in the chat box earlier as well?
Sorry, Emma,
that's okay.
No, I'm still there. I was just in the chat with some of this. Do you know what? I think this is a confidence thing down to individual schools. The guidance does have
Do you know if Andy or Christy?
He's teaching now, Andy is, and Christy's not in on Friday.
Going to hold the
fire. I can't hear you.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right.
You want to mute everybody?
Guys, there's lots of feedback. If you have got things going on, lovely. Okay, Tim.
So I just muted everybody, and then you can just unmute when people want to talk, which is great. And it's very much about other people talking, not just me. And it's good to see how other actual schools. So as they kind of says, there is loopholes. Lunchtime can definitely take part, and obviously the bit around it being for childcare, to do with training, education, or for work purposes. So it's over to you, schools. I'm very hesitant at Active Cornwall and across our Active Partnership Network to give out any guidance on how you can get around some of these loopholes. That's up to you as a school and how you view it and where it sits. And there was an example put in there about the parental consent you get, about just getting parents to confirm that this is for childcare purposes. You've got the evidence there, that covers your back. But again, that's your call as a school, whether you feel safe doing that and you've done the right risk assessments. Good to hear from any other schools though, and what they're planning to do. That'd be great.
Yeah, can anybody kind of, you know, just enlighten us as to what they're doing, if they're doing anything innovative, or if they're absolutely just sacking it off completely?
At Tenerife, we've basically decided there will be no clubs. I just think the government's reasonably clear that they don't want it to happen. Obviously, to ask PE staff to do things at lunchtime, logistically probably wouldn't work for us. I think PE teachers are very busy at the moment, and ask them to give up their lunch might be a bridge too far at the moment for us.
Thanks, Aaron.
We're carrying on with clubs, Emma, at Foy. I think probably because we're quite blessed with the space, and it actually really helps with zoning the kids out. And they're not like, it's not taught, it's not like football training or anything like that. You know, it's like badminton or a bit of basketball, and it's just kind of, it's basically giving them a space to play that's not overcrowded. And actually we found it relieves pressure in other areas around the school. So actually, in terms of like risk assessment, by taking 20, 30 kids in our, you know, our sports hall is really big. It usually takes, you know, a lot of kids in classrooms or the court outside, etc. But we also brought outside like the court footballs, and just made places where they can play.
Thanks, Aaron. Can I clarify, is that in school time rather than beyond the school day?
Yeah, we get 2 30-minute lunches now, which makes it even easier because lunch 1, year 7 and 8 are kind of, sorry, year 9 and 10 are in the canteen. So we run clubs for 7 and 8s, and then lunch 2 is the other way around. But also because our year groups are so small, the bubbles are a bit bigger in terms of like spreading across years and stuff like that. So we've been able to manage it quite easy to make sure that we can still get them being active. And they're pretty much just pitch up and play some badminton, stay on your court, all the same kind of hand sanitizing and wiping equipment and that sort of stuff, but it just gives them another option. And then on the top, we've got split tennis courts as well. So on the top court, We've got like those outdoor basketball nets, and we've brought the outdoor tarmac basketballs. We've moved a couple of football goals up onto the edge of that so that the lads and girls can play a bit of football. And the kids just seem really happy with being able to play.
Anybody from the primary sector happy to kind of comment on what they're doing, or if they're not doing anything?
Not at the moment of Mount Charles.
No. Kaylee, how about you?
We were until yesterday, and then we were asked to not, so we've had to cancel, which is a shame because we had quite a big sign up.
Yeah, I can imagine. Lou, do you want to move on to
Kaylee, who asked you not to start first?
Sorry, Tim.
Sorry, Kaylee, just that comment about you were asked not to. Who's asked you not? Sorry.
It was a decision through our MAT. So the whole MAT decided that we weren't going to run clubs based on the updated guidance. Yeah, so.
Thank you. Cheers. Sorry, Emma.
That's okay, no worries. Okay, next one. Ensuring children get 2 hours of PE a week. Has anybody got any examples of good practice that they're willing to share, primary and secondary?
I think we're probably getting more than we did before, actually, because we've gone back to uniform, so no mufti days, as Lee would say. But the kids who have got PE on that day, they come in their PE kit, and we've expanded the kit a little bit to include. We did it last year after some girls' active research to include leggings, like long plain black leggings. But we've added black tracksuit bottoms and like waterproof tops and stuff like that. It limits it a bit because you can't get out on the field, because if they get muddy and then they've got to spend the rest of the day in that. But they can still get outside. And like I say, we're blessed with space here. So sports hall, gymnasiums, like fitness suites and small class sizes mean that actually we've got plenty of opportunity. But what it's done is reduce the changing time. So actually in a 75-minute lesson, you can get far more done than you could before. So that's had a real positive impact on ensuring that they get 2 hours of PE and physical activity a week.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't mind jumping in from a secondary point of view as well. We had an increase in curriculum time in September. So off the back of the first lockdown, the school decided to put more resources into PE from the beginning. So we're easily hitting in all year groups the 2 hours of PE, but they've also introduced active breaks, active changeovers. So every child gets a 20-minute active break outside, unless it is really bad weather. But even if it's just kind of spitting, they still go out. If it's really, really bad, they don't. But they get a 20-minute active break, and then they do this active changeover now. So walk into an area. Yeah, it was brought in for COVID, but actually what I'm having a conversation with my line manager about is that's increasing the activity of children. It's getting them out of a classroom, moving to a holding area, getting some fresh air, moving, standing there, then moving on to another area, which is really good. So increasing that physical activity that way as well.
Thank you. Next slide, Luke, please, sorry. Moving on, that leads nicely into wet weather plans and use of indoor spaces. So if anybody's got any creative ways of using the indoor spaces, that would be great to share, I think. You got anything, Kaylee?
Sorry, just unmuted. We did the yoga training that you set up. So I think that's going to be a big push for us if we have to be inside. But really, we're going to try and be outside as much as we possibly can. So we told them waterproofs, jackets that they can do sport in. The older ones, to be fair, don't complain if they get wet. I've tested it a few times and they've been okay. And the younger ones, they're quite into doing some yoga in the big hall. So with Key Stage 1, it's not as much of an issue because they don't have to be kept as separate. But yeah, we're trying to make sure we've still got as much PE going on as possible. And so far, it's working.
Yeah, that's great news. Good to hear. Anybody else got any innovative ideas for indoor spaces? I know primaries probably struggle more than secondaries, but there could be something that a secondary or primary could share with each other that might be useful.
He got his hand up.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Has Lee got his hand up, Emma? Sorry, I know he's right next to you.
No, he hasn't got his hand up. Did you have your hand up?
He has on here. Take it down.
Another topic of conversation, changing rooms. I know that primaries don't have change rooms, so I'd be interested to know how you deal with that. And equally, I know that the secondaries are using change rooms, some are, some aren't. So if somebody from primary could just explain how you're managing with regards to changing, that'd be good.
I mean, for us, we are just keeping them in the classroom, and at the minute, they're not having any issues with that. I guess as it starts reaching closer to puberty, which usually comes in the new year for year sixes, then we'll have to start rethinking that. But at the minute, they just get changed behind their desks where they are all the time. So we don't have any problems with that.
And I'm pretty sure that's across the board for all primaries, is it?
I imagine so.
Yeah.
It's just we're trying not to get them to move around at all, really. So they sit at their desk, they get changed at their desk, and they go outside, they come back in, get changed again. So.
Yeah. Somebody's just commented that they come in PE kit on the days that they have PE and bring spare clothes. Ideal. The secondaries are very different. I don't know if there's, I mean, we've met regularly, heads of PE, so we kind of know where you guys are. Has anybody's circumstances changed around the changing situation? Grant, are you still in the same situation?
Yeah, we're still as we are with our 3 lessons. First lesson, students come in kit, get changed at the end of their lesson. People last lesson got PE, go home in their kit, but we're still using changing rooms, sanitize on the way in, sanitize on the way out, and at the end of the lesson, students wipe down their area. So in every changing room, we've got hand sanitizers and paper towels, and the kids wipe down, clean down their area, and then leave and sanitize on the way out. So we've done that from the start, and nothing's really changed at the moment with regards to us changing.
Sure. Speaking of cleaning, that's the next slide actually, just in case anybody wanted to bring up that topic of what they're using to clean equipment. I don't know if anybody had any questions around that, and maybe somebody's got some words of wisdom around what they're using. Is everybody managing to sanitize everything with regards to equipment? Yeah,
no real problems. No. That seems to be going quite well for us.
Aaron.
Yeah, sorry, that was me.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said.
Oh, yeah, cleaning.
Oh, lost you. Let's move on to the next slide because the time is running out. How can cluster primary schools collectively reshape PE, school sport and physical activity with a common approach to the effective spending of the PE and school sport premium? For example, to facilitate competition. So we know that every cluster is very different in that primary schools don't perhaps have the connection with their secondary to facilitate competition or CPD and things like that, and how we can help kind of facilitate that in any way, or Lee actually brought this to the forefront, so I'm going to hand it over to him.
Thanks, Em. No, it's just something I go back to 6, 7, 8 years ago. My role here as teacher release, which was government funded and was going out to primary schools. It was really good, and I know lots of people in that role really valued it, and that's gone away from secondary schools, and money being ploughed through the sports premium into primaries, which is absolutely fine. Just worried in the St Austell area that unless there is a collective buy-in and a collective approach around competition, CPD and everything else, then potentially that will die off. We're all under our own constraints, fully aware of that. But you hear the power from Dan this morning on the panel when he spoke on behalf of kind of Penryn. But it's about, is it able to get hold of his model and then put it out there? I know some of their primary schools buy into a product, and it would just be nice to kind of have those initial discussions, if that's through Emma in our area, to move that forward, but to make sure St Austell children at all levels, primary and secondary, can see a clear pathway. I didn't know if it was an opportunity for sports-minded people to kind of get a program or a product there ready, but we can model it on what is successfully already happening around Cornwall.
Thanks, Lou. I don't know if anybody's got anything to add to that. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide, which is about external coaches and clubs. So are they allowed into schools? I thought this was really important that we brought this up, because obviously we have likability instructors coming into schools at the moment, and I know schools are going to be in a very different, every school's going to be in a different situation, but obviously school coaches are allowed into schools. So if you have got likability booked and you can facilitate it, please go ahead and keep getting those instructors in, please. That's really important to us at the moment, because I've had a couple of schools say that they weren't actually going to run bikeability this year. So be assured that they are allowed to come into you. We had notification from the Bikeability Trust yesterday as well, saying that it's all good to go ahead. So I wanted to get that one out there as well. I think the last slide is around the Winter Games. So obviously we rely on a lot of the Winter Games events going on in extracurricular time. So just it'd be good to share some ideas on how you're going to facilitate now that that time is probably going to go away. I know that Lee's probably going to run a lot in his curriculum time.
Thanks, Em. Keep up on the spot. I am, yeah. I'm looking at putting it out for my mixed groups, so that's second tier down. So not my top sports people, putting that second tier down, and concentrating on Key Stage 3. So year 7, 8, and 9 next week, both sides of the year group, X and Y populations, but targeting it at those tier group of students. They will also be set a couple of the other activities, so they're going to do sports or athletics in lesson time, where they're going to be taking part in making up the miles and designing your own game as homework for that week. But yeah, just really figuring out who we're going to target it, so that kind of second tier works best for us. Thanks, Lee.
Does anybody else, because I know loads of you engage in the virtual school games, are you still going to manage to facilitate it okay without that extracurricular time?
I know that I've asked all of the different teachers to try and take part in their PE lessons next week, and someone already did it yesterday, so hopefully we'll be able to get enough results next week.
That's great. That's good to know. I'm just worried it might have had an impact on the engagement, but that's good that it's still going to happen. Guys, it's now 1:15, so it is break time, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it is. It's break time now. 3 till.
Sorry, guys. Lewis just kindly pointed that out. If anybody's got any questions now before we go off that they want to ask colleagues. No.
Emma?
Yeah.
From this morning's presentations, will we get sent the slides and the video links, or we got to find them somewhere?
I think they will all be on the Active Cornwall website.
Okay.
Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, you'll be sent a link where you can go and download them. So you'll be sent a direct link that'll be emailed to you next week. Click on that link on the Active Cornwall website and it'll take you to where they are. There'll be just too many of them for us, and they're too big files for us to email them out directly to people.
That's right. I just wanted to know if we was going to get somewhere to pick them up from.
Yeah, it'll be sent directly to them. That's just great.
Thank you.
I'm just going to check in one question, and not to answer now, but just to think about. And it'd be great if anybody could feed it through or check it in the chat as the day goes on, because the chat will still be live. Just for me, about senior leaders and how your senior leaders in your schools are seeing where PE and school sport is positioned now. That's really important for us. and we're really keen to get some feedback either way about, and some examples that we can share just around the confidence of PE in school sport at this moment, and that bit around that repositioning, those strong arguments. So we'll put that out to people. But if anyone's got anything on there where they go, do you know what, I've got a really good senior leader that thinks PE in school sport is at the heart of the school during this time, then we'd really love to know that. That'd be great. Sorry, Emma.
No, that's okay. Don't apologize. So break time now, and I think you go back into your workshops for 1 o'clock, Tim. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, you should all have a link for your workshop at 1 o'clock if you booked on 1 till 2, and then the second workshop is 2:15 to 3:15. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to see you all.